Yes, it is important. I'm quite obstinate, but I think it's helpful as well. Again, I've said the computer and technology helps, and knowing that my family don't allow me to get away with it, I have to find some way of dealing with it. You see, the brain's got amazing neuroplasticity, and we can relearn some things. So to remain independent sometimes means someone enabling us to continue rather than disabling us by doing it for us. We often need people to do things with us rather than for us.
I maintain my independence by focusing on what I can do. But actually, independence is important to me. But what's even more important is something I'd describe as interdependence. Because, as I said, I'm not great in my own company. So I'm always better when I'm connected to somebody else or a group of people. So I seek things which enable me better to do that. But I recognise the fact that you can't do that all the time. So there are times when I'll use music, or I'll use puzzles, or I'll use my art, because art, funny enough, relish played a part in this, because my initial reconnection to art was partly through relish, because I, previous to 2 years ago, the last time I painted a picture, I was 11 years of age. And 2 years ago, I painted my first picture, age 64, that I'd done for 53 years. And I discovered through what people were telling me that actually I was quite good at it. And I guess the aqua paints, doing those with my grandchildren, was a starting point for that, actually, because it enabled me to think, well, how does colour work for a start, and how can I be creative with a paintbrush? And now I'm at the point where 2 books are about to be published, and those 2 books have got my artwork on the cover. Now, I never, ever, ever, ever would have envisaged that 1 year ago, or certainly 2 years ago, or before. So, doing art is a real eye opener, literally and metaphorically, for me, because it's enabled me to see the world through different eyes, and then to represent that in my paintings.
I keep independent. I live alone in my house. One of my daughters is very near. She's just across the road from where I live. The other one is in a similar location, a little bit further away. I have 3 daughters and they live quite close. The way I can, the way I find it best for me in my situation is to live alone, because of my, I suppose they're called suspicions, really. My key to my house, because I'm safeguarding my children against, I think you've been in my house and you've touched this or touched that, or this kind of behaviour would happen in the afternoon and early evenings. That's when I become very it's anxiety, it's worry, all those kind of things that doesn't present themselves in the earlier part of the day. And I know if I've been in a room, was doing something, and maybe the doorbell rang or I thought something else, I'd come back to a mess, so to speak. And knowing me, it would be, well, I would never have left it like this, because I'd forgotten that I'd got distracted from whatever I was doing and forgot about it. So I can manage these anxieties and oddities by living on my own. Also, I love technology. I have 2 mini home Googles, which I can ask them, who am I? What's the time? Where do I live? All sorts of questions, which, if I think a person would be living with me, they would probably, I'd be asking all sorts of questions all through the day and night, I expect. I've got a Ring doorbell, then I can see who's at the door. Mobile phone, iPad. Yeah, I love technology and for what it can bring me.
Yeah, I mean, trying to keep him independent as much as we possibly can within the realms of the disease and how that's progressed. It can change on a daily basis. So, you know, for one day, he could probably eat with a knife and fork, and then the next day you can't. So you've got to adapt with Mick, and sometimes it can be very, very quick. It can be from one day to another that things can change. But yeah, I'm really keen on keeping his independence at home for as long as I possibly can, and for as long as my home will allow me to do that, because obviously if we've got to have adaptations, then you know, that can be quite costly, and sometimes it's, you know, it's not possible. So we'll just keep doing what we can for as long as we can for him.
Independence, a very interesting word. I kind of think of it not as independent, but it's independence. In other words, I don't want to be on my own dealing with this. I want to be a part of other things, so that I'm working alongside my wife, so that I'm not independent, but we have independence on each other, just as you do in any marriage. Actually, you're not independent of each other. You work together, and so I like to be independent in as much as that I don't want to go into a care home, and nor does my wife want me to go into a care home. In fact, she's definite that I'm not going to go into a care home. I mean, she was in the nursing profession for 45 years or more, and she feels that she'll be able to deal with whatever comes up. So I still am a great believer in independent living. And independent living is getting on with your life. You know, at 58, when I got diagnosed, that's, well, a little under half your life gone, isn't it? A little over half your life gone, I suppose, if you're going to live to 100. And so, yes, I am very independent from that point of view, and I still have my own independent views about things. I'm not one to go along with what everybody else says. I've still got my own mind. Albeit I've got dementia, I've still got my own mind to be able to think things through. And so that's how I see independence, really.
Honestly, I think that most of my caring has helped my grandma. In the beginning, I wanted to do everything for her. I didn't want her to go into the kitchen, not touch the stove, don't do this. I got it. And I noticed that was really detrimental for her. She wanted to help. She wanted to be involved in daily activities, and I wasn't allowing her the time or space to do so. So for me, allowing her the time and space to help. She may not be able to do things in full capacity. She may not be able to do things with me just telling her to do it, but we've maintained routine, and I think that is key. So in the morning after breakfast, we wash the dishes together. I'll scrub them, she'll rinse them. And then we do things like that throughout the whole day. When we clean, when I'm dusting or sweeping, my grandma is involved in any way that she's able to. So yeah, I really just try to keep her as involved in daily activities as possible. It has changed throughout the years, the things she's able to do. So when I first started taking care of her, she was able to get the eggs out of the fridge, crack them, and whisk them. Now I have to hand her the eggs and show her how to do it, but she's still able to do it. So it's really kind of just adjusting and giving them the time and space. And I think that's kind of most beneficial for them.